Right then, prior to the defeat against Liverpool, there was a lot of optimism and a lot of people expecting United take Betis on, blast through them, especially after you've just dealt with the best team in La Liga. What are Betis going to do to us? Round of 16, start booking hotels and flights for Budapest. It's all right, they're refundable, don't worry about it. But the mood's changed. And from that optimism on the back, I mean, what a 10 days we've had. My days. Football, innit? I think United fans are more hopeful rather than optimistic in this one. Let's get it back on track, get the next game, keep moving it. Now, Betis are on a 4-match unbeaten run. They drew Real Madrid at the weekend, no mean feat. They will definitely fancy their chances against a Bruges United side, maybe in more ways than one. They would take a draw, I think, with the second leg to play over in Spain. Ten Hag will probably ring the changes. I don't think that's necessarily a surprise, so we should expect both starting lineup refreshments, but I would expect some sort of an attitude readjustment as well. From heavy defeats this season, United have gone on and kicked in, right all the way back to that 4-0 by Brentford. And I love the attitude of Erik ten Hag in that, where he's like, we was outrun by 13.8k, I think it was. So today we're running 13.8k, and I'm doing it with you. What leadership that is. Absolutely sensational. From a City one, we went on a hell of a run, and I hope it's the same. The only thing pulling me back a little bit is you're like, yeah, all right, I hope we can do the same here, but I think we're creaking a little bit with the mountain build-up of games. And I'm worried about Casemiro because we don't know what the injury to him is just yet. Now, we haven't lost the first leg of any of our 8 European knockout ties in the last 8, actually. We've won 4, we've drawn 4. When the first leg has been at home, we've lost just 1 of 11 matches with 5 wins, 5 draws. First time we've faced Betis in any competition, which I was quite surprised at when I had a look at that. And they have just won 1 of their last 7 knockout matches in the Europa League. They got 3 draws, 3 losses in that. Now, there's 2 main pillars to understanding how they play Real Betis. It's a 4-2-3-1, and it's Pellegrini. Possession is the first one, but it's only for the sake of creating chances. And attacking players have total freedom to move around and do whatever they want to be able to facilitate that. Pellegrini wants his team to be fluid and unpredictable, and that fluidity, the interchangeable forward 3, the passing combinations between the midfield 4, that's really what makes Betis so exciting, I think, with Fekir and Canales injured. Arguably Betis' 2 most important players. They will likely be less dangerous than they probably would have been. There's only a couple of aspects of the team that stay consistent throughout a game, and that's the centre-backs and that's the full-backs. Full-backs are particularly important. They provide width for the wingers and often drift inside and even rotate with the midfielders, whether it's deep in possession or a little bit further forward. Both full-backs use the width for the pitch, and when the opposition press high, Betis are really good at finding ways out and quickly creating dangerous opportunities up the other end. Very, very good on the ball, very fluid, and one of the better ball-playing sides in La Liga. So it'll be a good little test for us. One of the reasons for the position of the fullbacks that we've already talked about, by stretching the opposition press in a wide sense, Betis make it difficult for the opposition to cover all the options, and for the fullback becomes a regular outball for them. The midfield pivot of Guido Rodriguez and William Carvalho often position very close to each other in the build-up, between the lines if possible. So when one gets on the ball, they will look for the other as the first sort of pass, ready to give them the ball if one of them receives. Because both fullbacks are so wide, their central position is really important, not just to prevent one of the other one being isolated, but also means that they've got numbers in the middle in case the ball is lost. It also, I like the pattern that they have in this, because they know that when the opposition can press them into one corner, they have the ability to play out, they get it into midfield, and then they know the switch is on as an out ball onto the other side, and that's how they're gaining so much ground. It's really good and I like it, and I might be stealing that from my lads. When Betis play out, and go forward, the forward players and midfielders are positionless. This is not Louis van Gaal. This isn't like, that's your spot, stand on it, and I mean to the inch. It's the opposite. They will rotate, they will overload, they will double up down one side. They will move all over the place that they have to, and there is literally no pattern to what they're trying to do. They're just trying to find gaps and trying to exploit you. It will look like complete and utter chaos because they've got so much freedom, but there are some guiding principles which makes it work. Players work close, and I do like that. Johan Cruyff, the only thing that I've ever heard Johan Cruyff say that I don't really just think is genius, and I don't necessarily agree with it. And actually, Guardiola, I don't think even agrees with it because he did it the opposite way. Is that Cruyff, when he got on the ball, wanted people to go away because he wanted to play in that sort of space. Players who aren't as good as Cruyff need people to come towards them and support them, and then you can initiate 1 and 2 touch passing, and that's one of the things that I see Betis doing quite well. The players work in very close proximity. That means that the wide forwards, Wanmi especially, rarely really stay that wide. When Betis progress the ball, the forwards take up central positions really close to each other, and they look to try and combine, find 1-2s, find angles, and penetrate that way. Another tenet to that is pass and move, and it's often forgotten at the highest level. And for Betis, it's second nature. It's actually very, very, very good to watch. You see, one of the downsides of the possession at all costs kind of football is people get very comfortable sitting, receiving a pass and sending it on, and then waiting in the same spot to receive it back from that guy and send it on to that guy. That isn't progressive. And some people can confuse that with being progressive because they actually played a progressive pass, but it's not progressive football. Just because the ball went up there, what happened with it? Did it come back? Well, it wasn't fucking progressive then, was it? To be truly progressive, the way you beat, 1 or 2 men even, I play the ball into you, you're ahead of me, I make a run beyond you, you play a ball into the space, I pick the ball up on the other side of you. That is progressive football. And that is what you're going to see at Old Trafford on Thursday night. It's second nature for them. And then the other thing which makes this very, very difficult is runners off and in behind. And progressing the ball requires runs in behind. Any good, and as good as Betis even are at maintaining possession, the way they play risky balls in the final third is what sets them apart from everybody else in La Liga. Now, as a Premier League team, you should be fairly used to this, as it's something you see all the time in the Premier League. It's rare for a team in La Liga to do it, but they're very good at it. Defensively, for the vast majority of games, they go aggressive man-man, aiming to prevent any sort of comfortable possession for an opponent. And if the opponent's playing with 2 centre-half, they will press both of them. That leaves them outnumbered in midfield. So this is mad, right? Because the number one defensive principle for most teams is +1 in the back line. Yeah, you can deal with being overloaded in the midfield. It's not that important in the grand scheme of things. You don't want to get overloaded at the back line, because you get overloaded at the back line, you concede goals. Be overloaded in midfield and still be +1 in defence and be fine with it. You can let them have the ball. You can do this, that, and the other. We're going to keep it solid at the back. That's how most teams do it. Betis will throw a centre half into midfield and go man for man at the back, which is bonkers. Stevie's tip for this weekend is both teams to score. Anyway, they counter-press offensively, and that means that they can be left 3v4 or even 4v4 defensively if you can bypass that press. It's risky, but it's pretty effective for them. There's what it is. Starman is Borja Iglesias. He's the best top scorer this season with 10 goals in all competitions. He's excellent at playing with the back to goal. He definitely allows the team to use him as a bit of a bounce, especially when they're looking for a third man run, or where they're playing passes from the second line. He is very, very good and adept at playing with his back to goal in that circumstance. He's also great at finding space within the box because his movement is good, and he's a technical player who is clever. He knows when to push and stay high, and at the right time he'll come off and drop deep. And because of the constant moving around him, everyone else sort of getting into the zones where he was is a bit of a nightmare for the centre-halves to keep a track on. And he's also a very good runner, key to the final press and the counter-press, and he's a very good finisher. He can create opportunities for himself or for others. The United team, I had to rotate it, right? Because I think Casemiro's injured. I think Shaw's injured, and I think Varane's injured, right? And I would rest Bruno with the criticism that he's got. Now, this could go the other way, and you could try and force. They used to do this with Rooney and stuff when he was getting a little bit of criticism. You play him through it. Don't know the personality enough of Bruno to know how he would react to this, but I think he needs a break. And I think it's a good opportunity to bring someone in that would hold the ball a little bit better. So I would go with David Nett. I would go with a back four of Dalot, Lindelof, Martinez and Malacia. Like I said, Varane and Shaw, I think have got knocks. If it was true about their late fitness tests on Sunday, take them out. There's no point running people through injuries. Rest them. You've got capable stand-ins. Use the stand-ins. The one I am worried about is Casemiro. So I'll go with Sabitzer and Fred because, well, I don't want to see McTominay, so it's those two. And then I go with Antony, Sancho and Garnacho behind Rashford. So I would like to rest Weghorst, Casemiro, Varane, Bruno and Shaw. A few of those are for injuries. A couple of those are just rotation and rest. Weghorst being one. I'd have Weghorst on the bench though, but I don't think this is the game for him. I think it's a high line and it's a game for speed. And I'd love to see Sancho given another opportunity in the 10. Out of that lot, match winner, Sabitzer. Really shown the quality when he got the chance. And I think he'll capitalise on getting a start. And this game is probably going to be won or lost in the central areas. He's got the tenacity. He's got the work rate. That's going to be important. He's also got the quality, and I think that was what's going to stand him out. We're going to need a spark from the weekend, and I think Sabitzer has got the ability to spark it. How to beat him? Be careful of the midfield overload and central overload, because that will lead to being overrun in the back line because they push 6 players forward. They will rotate and flood that area. The midfield will come inside. You're going to have to be very, very strong in that little safety square of your 2 6s and centre-halves. You've got to try and find a way to get +1. You've got to make sure that your fullbacks are switched on to just come in and narrow in, because they'll be marking no one at times, coming and helping the centre because they'll be runners. It could be a problem if they're allowed to get comfortable in possession. That's where most of their talented players are. And then be vertical. Spanish sides usually struggle against the speed of transitional football. The Premier League, Bundesliga and Liga, right, are out on their own when it comes to transition football. Spain takes it a little bit slower. Italy don't even pretend. France, Germany, and English football is all about the transition. And I would say there's probably not many better in the game than Mbappe and Marcus Rashford at that particular skill set. So there's going to be a time to be direct and find Marcus and get him in behind that defence. It will be against the Spanish team. And being a bit more vertical takes out their counter-pressing. And we've definitely got enough pace to go and hurt them if we play this way. But that's also why I chose Garnacho, Antony, Rashford, 3 runners, 3 players that are going to run with the ball, rather than come in and try and create. You've got Sancho who's going to try and do that in the centre, but he also likes to dribble with the ball. So, reason I picked the team the way I did, I think it matches up nicely with what I expect the opposition to bring. Let me know in the comments, do you agree? Do you disagree? How do you see the game going? And are you shitting it? See you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.